We're going to need Laurier 62. And today's fragrance is going to be one of the best fragrances for under $100. But I hate the packaging. Today's fragrance from Moschino. It's called Toy Boy. I hate this packaging. I hate the name. This fragrance is dope. And ladies love it. Guys, trust me. I wouldn't steer you wrong. And especially if something that looks as goofy as that, it's gotta smell good. All right. So last night, Instagram. We got into it. And I had some very informative, insightful conversations with the women of online. But then something strange happened. Something strange happened. And you know what? I can show you better than I can tell you. Something strange happened last night on Instagram. And I think it's just time to let you guys hear it yourself. Because you cannot make this crap up. I swear to God, you cannot make this crap up. Let's do it this way.
Well, I've been watching you for a while, and I just want to say that tonight is the first time that I actually agree with you. This topic is really good. I just think the modern day women, or women in general today, they want the wedding, but they don't want the marriage. Mm-hmm. So, marriage is a big deal. I'm divorced. I've been divorced for a few years. So I know what it takes to be a wife. My parents, they've been married for 45 years. So okay. I grew up, seeing the role of a wife.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
So your parents are 45, married 45. Okay. So I'm 51. We're both Generation X.
Right.
Every other generation before us were married that long.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you fail so much?
I just think we give up. We give up quickly, and also we give up. We don't have the patience, the endurance. And women, and there's pros and cons to that, right? So women, we have a lot of options now. A lot of the things that our grandparents had to tolerate and deal with, we no longer have to. So, women are educated. Women are educated. They're going to school. I'm a PhD. So a lot of times.
Hold on. We gotta talk one at a time. What are you saying your parents and your grandparents had to tolerate that you guys don't have to tolerate?
Well, women back in the day, a lot of them didn't have options. They weren't educated. They didn't go to school. They were home, taking care of the families.
Again, so, what did you have to tolerate?
The cheating, the infidelity.
Let me stop you right here. Did you just see the previous caller?
I did.
The one before yes?
Yes, I did.
The one who in the black community, black men cheat at a rate of 28%. What rate do black women cheat at?
Well, we don't talk about those numbers.
We don't talk about those numbers. That's right. You heard that right. She came in here talking all this hoo-ha about we don't have to tolerate and put up with other stuff of other generations put up with. I just asked her some basic questions. Okay, cheating. And you all ready to throw black men under the bus when I just asked one question about women? What? We don't talk about those numbers. Oh, yeah, we do. We do.
Really?
What do you think?
Maybe 30%?
24, but there's more of you.
Black women cheat too.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So the cheating is coming from who? See, here's what I'm trying to understand. I grew up watching things that I never saw.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting to Exhale, Color Purple. I've been around a long time.
Let me explain what I mean. Waiting to Exhale in the 90s. I never saw men like in these movies. I heard women talking about men like these in the movies, but I never saw men like this. And Color Purple, written by a black woman feminist, Alice Walker. Go back. I was gonna pull up. I have all the clips, but I'm not gonna bore you. But just Google the uproar it caused. 1982, the book was banned for sexual graphic images and societal things. This has been canonized as black history, and it ain't. The color purpling of a black America made black men look like animals. And women like this defended this stuff. And this is where this thing goes off the rails because we're in the same generation. And now you guys are going to witness how it got this bad in 2021. Baby boomers, that was my mother's generation, are the ones that wrote this mess. Generation X, her and I, are the children of the people who wrote this mess, the women. Millennials and Zennials, you're downstream. But this is the conversation that happened in the 80s between around Color Purple to all these other things depicting a black woman's struggle against the oppressive, mean, patriarchal, bully-beating black man.
And what I know more than anything else is, don't look in the comment section, we're talking. What I know more than anything else is women in our generation use Rosetta and Sojourner and women in the past who have made a much tougher stuff as a reason.
Get the lights up. Not much to ask people, just hit the like button. Get 'em up, get 'em up, get 'em up, get 'em up. Bow, chicka, bow, wow. I asked not to have to do that, man, but apparently you wanted to have it. All right. Let's not have to do it again.
And to say you're strong and independent, but you're not made of the same things. We don't quit, y'all quit. And it's not because you're being treated poorly.
Okay.
If 80% of divorces are filed in the black community by women, even if half of them are filed for the worst things, that means 4 out of 10 still aren't. It's still twice as much. That 40%.
She looked confused when I said this.
As men file.
Yeah, but I think that's all based on perspective, and that's relative to the situation and the individual involved. So
that was a bunch of bullshit that she just said. Well, that's all based on perspective, and perspective is relative to the individuals involved. In other words, don't pay attention to the facts, the data, the statistics. Don't pay attention to what really happened. What we want to tell you, what we perceive happened to none of them, by the way. None of these women talk about this happened to me. It's always about somebody that they heard about.
What one woman is willing to tolerate, another woman might not be.
You keep saying tolerate. What are you tolerating?
Mistreatment, or is so.
Huh.
I'm called to tell you I agreed with most of what you were saying tonight.
I know, but I get it. But the thing is, when you say something like that, man, you put it out into the air that women back in the day had to put up with stuff that we didn't have to put up with. We don't have to put up with that. And I'm asking, what are you talking about? Because all the stuff.
I can tell you. Let's talk about the abuse. A lot of women back in the day dealt with abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, and the manipulation that all of that entails.
But modern women, okay, that you're talking that Color Purple Alice Walker stuff. I never witnessed any of this stuff. I'm sorry, ma'am. And when more women are finally coming out and saying that how many women do you? Let me just back it up because I don't want to get anecdotal. This is a bunch of propaganda. Generation X black women are not getting beat up and abused.
Right. Okay, yes.
And neither was silent era black women.
But
neither was the greatest generation.
But you're not taking into consideration that men were completely different back then than they are now.
There was no abuse, ma'am. If you go back and look when The Color Purple came out, it was a big uproar in this country because they said how much it was going to damage the family. Man, I'm black. You're black. I didn't see women walking through the neighborhood with black eyes.
She said financial abuse. We were broke. I got $2. I'm going to abuse you on $2. But what I need you to understand is how much this story has played into the psyche of women like her. They needed black men to be mean bullies, mister, to justify their choosing to leave. And now it's starting to come out that men didn't do what they're saying we did. You're not seeing this stuff. You're not seeing the physical evidence or the physical manifestation of any of this. That's what's coming out. And now the jig is up. And they can't get their minds around it. That you've been walking around spouting lies. And it's gotten this bad because this is your mama and your auntie and your nanny and big mama and cousin Tanya. And these are the women that either birthed you or babysat you or taught you. And they had no problem telling you this stuff as if it were factual, like they lived it, and you were too young to know the difference between yes or no. And at 40 years old, this author is still running around talking about feelings. Oh, it gets worse. Are you the woman that called in talking about 2 Chanel bags, high value, Mookie, Pokey, and you still sound like
guys and shit looking like Ike and Tina? This is
where did you live? Where did you grow up?
Does it matter?
Yes, did you see it? It all depends.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen it. It all depends on
your
community.
Where'd you grow up?
I'm from New York City. I'm from the Bronx. The Bronx,
exactly.
New York.
And then in the Bronx,
so,
hold on, in the Bronx, in the projects, you can't even have men living in there.
Oh, but I'm 1980. There were men living in there. There were ways. There were rules that men could not live in there, but women.
Could you imagine what it would look like in the projects in the Bronx if no men are supposed to be living in here, and she's saying that men were sneaking into the projects and whooping women's butt like hotcakes? And women were walking around with eyes hanging out their socket, broken arms, and looking like a penny on Good Times, like the Carter. Like all the women are walking through like New Jack City Carter because they've been beat down by men. I'm sorry. When I asked the question on YouTube, Black women only. Have you directly witnessed physical abuse by your father or other male family members upon the women of your family? 3,600 votes. 63% of women surveyed said no, no, no. Now, this is not to minimize, and here's what this typically happens right here. Pay attention, because here comes the shame, insult, guilt, the need to be right, the Wonder Woman deflection. Guys, be ready for it. Oh, so what Kevin's trying to say is it doesn't happen. Y'all act like it doesn't happen. Try that with an uneducated audience. What we're saying is it does not happen nearly to the level you saying it does happen. And I'm going to be honest, from my personal belief, I've heard this so much. So my first question is when women start talking about abuse, how bad it was, abuse, I'm asking for police reports. I'm asking for documentation. Because if you're saying you walked out of this or you did that or you did this, if it rose to that level, I need to see reports, affidavits. I need to see more than just, because I don't believe everything I hear. And if you are actually sitting back saying, well, women are too afraid, then I don't believe it. Unless there's medical reports, police reports, physical evidence, I don't go on hearsay. That's the problem today. We are convicting men based upon what people say. And flip it. We really need to ask the question, who's really being, where's the abuse really coming from? There's physical abuse. We all know that. But what about emotional and verbal abuse? Who are the perpetrators of that in a relationship? Uh-oh. Are we going there tonight?
Wait, to get the men in there.
Let's do it.
But that's not what we're talking about, right?
No, what we're talking about, man, what we're talking about is you said that women in our generation did not put up with stuff other women put up with. And I call bullshit on that. Women in our generation were full of themselves. You counted as a double minority. You got Title IX, affirmative action, put you in positions in corporate America that should have gone to black men as a result of civil rights. But when companies realized that they could get 2-for-1 with a black woman, black women got put in positions of power instead of black men. That was supposed to be part of our settlement. And what happened in the 90s? When sisters got those jobs, what did they do? They turned on black men. Sally Jesse Raphael, Donahue, Geraldo, Rolanda, Ricky Lake, Oprah. This is when all this, where all the good brothers at, because so many sisters have white collar corporate jobs and looking down on blue collar factory working men. I've talked about this. Dr. T.S. Johnson teaches on this. Our women turned their backs on black men, and you created a story that none of y'all lived.
Okay, but listen, I'm not disagreeing with that, right?
All that she's saying, okay, you can't, because it's verifiable. I'm not disagreeing with that. Young ladies, women who are on your feminine journey, I need you to understand the women who have probably reigned large or loomed large in your life are women who probably think like this. Well, if you're not disagreeing with that, what are you disagreeing with?
Agreeing with that because I'm all on the whole submission thing, the man is the head, all of that, right? I'm on that time. But black men do the same thing. As soon as they get into position of power or they become famous or they meet a certain financial plateau, they no longer look at black women. They go to other ethnicities.
You heard that right. You're hearing the color purple quoted chapter and verse. Now you're about to hear Waiting to Exhale quoted chapter and verse. You're about to hear Angela Bassett with Mary J. Blige singing in the background, flicking a cigarette in a BMW full of clothes. It's what she's about to spout off in this psychobabble bull.
I'm not out of my mind. You don't like to be.
Hold on. Look, I deal with stats. Black men are married to black women at what rate?
I'm not dealing with race. I'm dealing with facts of what I
No, I'm
see and
dealing
what I
with
know.
rates. I'm dealing
Listen,
with.
you
No,
do
no,
the
hold
math.
on. No,
You
no,
have
no,
time
no,
to do
no,
the
no,
math.
no,
That's
no,
your
no,
profession.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
dealing.
This woman calls herself an author and said, I'm dealing with facts. And I said, I'm dealing with rates. And her counter to facts, data, and statistics is you have time to do the math. Women understand this is your auntie, your mama, your nanny, your cousin. They're not worried about being right. They got a point to prove. Shame, insults, guilt. Here's the need to be right. And the first thing she said is, you don't like being wrong. 2 plus 2 is 4, no matter how you slice it. I'm just not going to allow you to sit around and lie. It's about to get real deep. Hold on.
with
No, you're not going to talk.
reality.
No, no, no. I'm dealing with statistics and facts. Black demographics.
You do the
No, no,
research
no.
for that.
What rate of black? What rate when black men are married? What rate are they married to black women?
From what I was talking about in my perspective and what I see based on television, the media, what
I'm
the media
basing it on
feeds us.
actual data.
We don't have time for that, Kevin.
Well, then don't talk about it, ma'am.
I'm going to show you what's prevalent and what is being
Then don't
forced and
talk about
thrown
what I'm
to
saying,
us.
ma'am. Man, your title is so author. And if you're gonna talk about black men like this, if you're gonna talk about black male image, I'm gonna ask you that you be right on the facts. That's all I'm gonna ask.
So you want me to give the complete?
I want you when you can
data.
come. No, what I want you to do is what I want you to do is if you can come out talking about when black men get in a position of power, then they do something so forth. If you can say that, you better be able to back it up with the facts, data,
I can't. That's the
because they
general
don't back, because
concept.
the facts don't back that up. Black men are married to a black woman at an 87% rate. Nobody is married out like that.
But the men that you talk about, the high value men that you always speak about
It's
on your.
just, and what rate do you think that is?
Ooh, mister. Oh,
Now, what that was her trying to shame me or get me off. Ooh, mister, look at you get mad. No, chick, what you got is you got the right one. See, I gave her plenty of opportunities to retract this bull crap. But no, she's going to go in even in. You got time to do that. You got time to do that. I'm sorry. To all you college educated, MS, Masters, PhD.
I'm a PhD.
What world what world is it right, even morally right, for you to think your opinion trumps factual evidence, data, statistics that prove your opinion wrong? One group of people more than anything else think their feelings trump the facts. We've seen it on display here.
What rate?
Oh my
No,
God,
tell
this
me.
hasn't.
No,
Now, this is supposed to be a dialogue.
Don't. At what rate of high value men? Because what you're telling me, they marry out at a higher rate.
No, I'm saying that the high value men that you talk about on your show often, once they are high valued, after most of the time the black woman has built them up, they shit upon them once they get to the top.
Yeah, you're a feminist.
I'm not.
I want you to understand what this fool just said. Yes, ma'am, you're a fool. This fool just said most of the time when a black man becomes high value, a black woman has built them up. I'm sorry. How you going to build anybody up when you're married 1 out of 4? Basically, she is trying to give black women credit for a black man becoming high value. We didn't do it on our own. Somehow, women who we ain't married to are responsible for us. Because don't talk about, well, your mama, your teachers. No. That was 18 years old. Everything after 18, we're responsible for. See, we can never be solely successful. Remember when I said black men are not allowed full human expression? When we are successful, we're supposed to shout other people out and congratulate. Everybody else can take their trophy. Everybody else can get their prize. But a black man does it, he owes his success to women and in some cases, men. Not his hard work, not his sacrifice, effort, work ethic, perseverance, ability to fail, get up and fail better. No. And then this woman gave you the same waiting to exhale bullshit. A black man gets his success, moves up, then he turns around and shits on the black woman. Ma'am, you are a god darn fool. And they have no problem spouting this stuff off. This is why it has gotten so bad. Now, you may not like my approach, my delivery, or whatever, but you need to ask yourself, how do you think the men who have gone out here and competed to become the best version of themselves, what do you think they feel when they hear women like you and her talk about them in this way? We owe everything to you. Your mama black, your mama this. You men, you owe yourself. Everybody else can go and get themselves. Guys, you owe yourself. Don't you let them shame you, guilt you, insult you, the need to be right, deflect, whatever. You owe yourself, because when you get up there, they're still going to find a reason to tell you you're not worth it. It ain't yours. You're invalid. You're man not.
I am not a feminist. Do not disrespect me by calling me a feminist.
Before you say that, before you say that, I don't need all the things you cannot support. What rate are men above 6 figures married out in the black community?
Okay, you know what? Let's give a rate. 80%. I'm gonna throw out a number because you're so stuck on the rate. But I'm talking about real life conversations dealing with women.
Stop. No.
I'm focused on the rate, the facts, the data, statistics, and that's petty. She's focused on real life conversations with black women. Facts, data, statistics, provable reality, and what a bunch of women are saying. If the world made sense, what should count for more? But the fact of the matter is, the world doesn't make sense. And this has been allowed to count for years, for decades. And now men are finally saying, no mas, no more. You don't get to define us. We're going to tell our side. Because there is another side, not our truth, our side. And we're going to come at it with data, facts, statistics. And you want to keep taking it back to your opinions that none of you really lived.
Audience, what I need you to know is this 40-year-old black woman came in and said the black men who are making 6 figures or more are married out at a rate of 80%. 80.
Oh no, not the 6. I'm sorry, that was wrong. Let's say 60.
60, not much better.
Okay, well,
and you know what the international, and where are you getting your data from?
See, you want to stick on data.
Because
it's very analytical. I know it does, but I'm out here.
Hold on, ma'am. Are you a college-educated woman?
Yes, I am.
So why don't you want to deal with facts, data, and statistics?
Because this is supposed to be like a talk show or a podcast,
but it still needs to be because
it
needs to be rooted in fact.
Okay, well, you're analytical that way, and that's how you run your show.
Well, what I don't do is I don't.
You're analytical like that. And that's how you run your show. Make that make sense. You tell the truth that you can back up with the facts, data, and statistics, but I just want to talk. And I want the things I say to make you look bad. And you should allow that to happen. You're out of your mind.
No, what I don't do is allow people to come on and spout propaganda, because that's part of the problem in the black community. Our image is jacked up because so many of our women decide to come in talking like you. This is the same thing about black men being gay, down low, and in jail. 51% of black men are single and childless. 64% are in the middle class. Black men in this country are 2 million less than you. marriageable. Yet we are 847,000 more marriages than you. It ain't the problem with the men. The problem in our community is women like you.
You're totally wrong. Because
Wrong.
number one,
I will let the audience decide.
Number one, I am not a feminist. Number one. Number
And
two,
you played one very well.
No, I am not. I am stating the conversations that are had between women of all ages, and we all agree. The majority of the women that talk about, that I have conversations with, that are educated, that are high valued women, this is the conversation. So I'm just basically sharing that. You ask these questions. Because
So
think about
hold on. So
well,
the
Mr.
questions
Kevin,
that
you
they
can't keep
have,
cutting me off.
well, ma'am, but the questions that you have with these high value women, if it's not based in reality, then what is it?
It's their reality. You're going by statistics in a book based on a certain audience and a certain
No,
jurisdiction.
ma'am, I'm going by black demo. Okay, so audience, what I need you to do is go back to the beginning of the broadcast.
You heard that. You're going by statistics in a book. This is a college-educated woman who really wants to sit here and talk as if statistics in a book. And for you, my non-black watchers, what that means is white people's information. When they say in a book, they're not talking about black books written by black people. That's a nice way of saying the white man's stuff. Meaning that what black women say is true is more factually important and more relevant than what can be quantified, sorted, collated, and put before the world as peer review or sorts. That's really what she just said. This educated woman who says she's speaking for high value women, and what these high value women say in their conversations matter more than stats in a book for a particular audience. You heard that correctly. Ma'am, you're insane.
Said my truth and subjective truth. Let's also talk about two things that I'm going to bring up on YouTube. Black folks, knock this bullshit off about subjective truth. Subjective truth. I actually heard a woman say, all truth is subjective. Well, that just shows me you haven't been by a philosophy class. Subjective truth is based off a person's personal perspective, feelings, and opinions. Everything we know is based off of our input, senses, and perception. Thus, everything we know is subjective truth. All truth is subjective. That's a point of view. But it is wholly incomplete. Why? Because the objective truth is things are true based upon being a fact that can be proven true or false. See, what does subjective truth give us? The same thing that gives us something like prosperity gospel does in the church. It means, I actually hear women talk about, well, if that woman thinks she's a 10, who are you to tell her she's not? And to tell her she's a 10 can make her a breaker, and then try to use all these. Look, subjective truth is saying it's basically everybody gets a trophy. When you walk out of your house, that's the truth. You can call yourself a 10 all day, all you want to. In Philadelphia, it's worth $50. See, that's subjective truth, and that my truth bullshit has done more to keep you ladies single than anything else. Because you can sit back and say, it's my truth. It's my truth. It's my truth. Audience, I want you to go back to the beginning when I said my truth and subjective truth versus objective. Your godfather is right again.
The godfather.
Because you talking this, you going on.
Yeah, see right there, she knew she had been checkmate. I said this at the beginning of the broadcast. She said she had been watching since the beginning. Yet, in the heat of the debate, she comes up as an educated woman with author in the title, talking about subjective truth and their realities. As if that's enough to speak for a large, anyway. Whew.
So basically, that's white man statistics. Black demographics are black with statistics by black people for black people. See what it is, man, is you and so many women have so little regard for black men's image. Listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
Because if you had high regard, you would want to know what you're saying, even between each other, is accurate, right, factually true, instead of just talking about an opinion because it damages us. When I'm in corporate America and I'm having to listen to what people are saying about us, and they cite black women's issues with us and quote them back to us, I'm like, how can I? Well, if they're saying it about you, it must be true. See, what happens more than anything else, folks?
What happened right here, guys, is she went. She'd had enough. Instead of just admitting, you know what? I'm wrong. You're right. I should not speak so flippantly on open airwaves about black men that I claim to love, because I'm down for the submission and all that other kind of stuff. No. For people, women who act and think like this, it is really us against them. That's how it's gotten so bad. How do you keep a relationship together with somebody like this? Doesn't matter how good of a man you are, how good of a provider you are. When somebody's determined that they're going to think things like this about men that share your reflection, regardless of the fact, data, and statistics, what are you left with?
This was allowed to go on in the 80s and 90s, unchecked, unfettered, to where they can just say whatever they want to. That woman said that high-value black men are married out at a rate of 80% with nothing. You're a college-educated black woman. And I'm like, these are my critics. Even the people that say they agree, listen to what you're saying. You know those facts and data. Then what the French toast are you talking about? Stop talking about black men, because any other group of people looks at how black women like you talk about black men and say, well, it must be right if their women are saying it, because their women don't talk about them like black women talk about us. Only because I said it at the beginning. When they're pushed just a little, what comes out of their mouths? My truth. All truth is subjective. You cannot make this shit up.
So much here. 40 years old. Now you understand what it might be like to live with a Generation X woman. 50+% divorce rate. 8 out of 10 filed by women. Then you talk about men my age. You should be dating women of age appropriate. Are you crazy? Does she sound like the minority or majority of things you've heard when it comes to the gender war? Quoting all these things that happened, supposedly happened, but then when you just ask them two questions, a question and a follow-up question, it begins to fall apart. A question and a follow-up question, then it's like, well, you into all those facts and those datas. Well, then shut the French toast up. What kind of sense does that make? Well, that's you. You know all those facts and data. You have time to sit around and quote this because it matters. You're talking about our collective image, and you claim to love black men and black people, and yet you're speaking about if you had a kid, if you had a boy, you're talking about your son. your father, your brothers, your cousins. Black men actually suffer the slings and arrows of negative perception based large part by what people have heard women like this say about them. You go up to a woman and introduce yourself, and if she's carrying this kind of bile in her mind, what do you think it's going to be like trying to have a dialogue with this person? Hey, how you doing? Why do you think it's so easy for there to be an argument between us versus love that so many of you need? How do you get love out of this? What good is your PhD and your education and all that if you're going to weaponize it against your very men? That's right. Go look up how caustic and troublesome the color purple was back then and still is today. Because most people don't really interact with other races like that. So they use what they see in the media and popular culture. And what's the popularized opinion of black men and black relationships? And you understand that this woman got angry when she said, "Don't call me a feminist. That's insulting." Feminist? I know what a feminist is when I see one. And again, all those facts and data, you expect me to know? No, I expect you to care. But it ain't about that for many people. For many people, in order for black men to rise, for women who think like this, black women feel like they gotta fall. You want black men to step into their natural leadership role, that means some of these folks over here with power are going to be moved out of positions of power. And power doesn't want to lead. They'll talk a good game. But what is to be gained from walking around talking about stuff in a negative or pejorative light when you know other people are listening? Think about it. I'm sitting around talking to other high-value women, and this is what they say. Don't you want to know what you're saying is right before you just say it? Nope. We got a good story to tell. There's too much tea to sip. There's too much gossip. It's too juicy this way. We can't actually talk like y'all got some sense, because if that's the case, the next question is going to be, well, if they're so good and got so much sense, why are y'all middle-aged black women by yourself? Black men over 40 are the largest group of unmarried men. Why? Exhibit A. So this is a good example of how it got so bad. In one conversation, you see how it got so bad. That's your mama. That's your auntie. That's your cousin TT. That's your English teacher. That was your babysitter. Guarantee, if you are in the black community, you ain't but 1 or 2 stones throw away from knowing a person like that. But you know what? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's open up the comment section, because let's get it going.
What you gonna do when highlight catch an attitude? Drop to the knees and show gratitude. Kiss my ring, chick. This song right here is for all the fellas out there taking care of business and making that money.
Yeah, we gotta kiss the ring
Provide for their
today.
ladies, provide for their family. And to all the ladies out there, The fella's gonna need a little bit more than a big piece of chicken. If you got a good man and you want for nothing, and you want to keep that man, you need to learn how to check that attitude. You need to show some appreciation. You need to show some respect. Girl, all my fellas, tell you later. Bow to me, kneel for me, kneel for me. Kiss the ring. Bow to me, kneel for me, kneel for me. Pay homage to the king in your life. Wisdom and security, I give that. Devotion and honesty, I show that. Passion and love, you feel that? Bow down, girl, you need to show some respect. Obedience and loyalty, I need that. Friendship and trust, I've earned that. Gratitude, appreciation, I deserve that. Bow down, pay homage to the king in your life. Baby girl, what's the deal? Got no time for freaking girl, you're acting mad. Never want for nothing cause I'm paying the bill. Sleeping all day, the house is filthy. No meal. Come on, girl, give me some feedback. Let me know what's good, what's up. Where's your head at? Giving me attitude, not today, girl. Dead that. Strip off them clothes, I'm trying to beat that. Dead that. You're really saying not tonight? Not tonight. My blood is boiling hot, girl. You're getting me tight. Man. To the right. Don't let that door.
If you're looking to do the hyperlinks for the show,
you talking like you hot, you not.
meaning the timestamps,
trust me, you not.
let me know and I'll give you credit down in the description. If you're willing to do the timestamps for the show, let me know, and I'll give your channel credit in the description. People have been asking me about that. The first person to do it, in total, it needs to start with intro 0.00 and then the rest.
You claim that you're in love with me, You wanna be my wifey, That's looking pretty bleak, unlikely. You should've paid homage, girl, you fucked up, can't do it, no more, I'm done. I'm fed up, game over, clock ran out. Girl, your time to get your things, have a nice life. Keep your head up like Shaq and Kobe was a good team. But now we broke up, should've bowed to me, kneel for me. Kiss the ring, bow to me, kneel for me. Pay homage to the king in your life. Wisdom and security, I give that. Devotion and honesty, I show that. Passion and love, you feel that? Bow down, girl, you need to show some respect. Obedience and loyalty, I need that. Friendship and trust, I've earned that. Gratitude, appreciation, I deserve.
Ladies only, no guys in the show today.
Come on, girl, you know you love it.
Oh, by the way, I had a smoke show the other day. Notice none of my critics showed up. Not one.
Come on, girl, you know you
all talk.
Stop tripping in front and no she never do it. All I do for you, girl, you know you better kiss that. Bow down, pay homage to the king in your life. Come on, you know you love it. Come on, you know you love it. What you gonna do when highlight catch an attitude? Drop to the knees and show gratitude. Come on, you know you love it. Come on, girl, you know you love it. What you gonna do when highlight catch an attitude? Drop to the knees and show gratitude. Kiss my ring, chick.
Look, this whole, the dominant society or this and that, no. This is something that we can control 100%. Like I say, the gender war over here is over. But it is time to at least understand for some folks where this stuff comes from and why it persists. Why it persists so much. It persists so much because some women just refuse to admit that they're on some of that BS. Like I said, if you're willing to do the timestamps, put it down in the description. Start with intro is 0.00. And I'll give your channel credit down in the description. Also, last night, for my IG Live, there were actually some very good calls. Many people were kind of surprised because they've never seen, haven't gone into the archive to watch anything other than the salacious stuff. So when I drop this other thing tomorrow, you're going to see that my critics don't know what they're talking about. They find things to make their arguments. It's like, they wanted to make me to be this tall. They want me to be wrong because if I'm wrong, then you can go back to sleep. It ain't about me, people. It ain't about me. It's about everybody getting a little bit better and getting something they want out of this thing. So, let's get it. Move this over here. Move this over here. By coming onto my platform, you are agreeing that you may be broadcast on YouTube and other platforms. By appearing on the show, you are giving implied this is a live show and a live platform. It's YouTube. You have no expectation of privacy in public. If you want privacy, book a session. Okay, Miss Brielle Mercedes. Hello? Hi. Go ahead and speak up. I can't hear you. Take off your Bluetooth. Take off your headphones.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you have me on your Bluetooth. I mean, on your headphones. Go ahead. What do you got?
I'm sorry, I just well, I don't know. I just really like all of your videos. I don't know if you asked a question before, like putting it on.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, you need to turn the volume down on the phone a couple of ticks. On the side, it's too loud. So why don't you do this? Fall back, because generally at 20,
yes.
Were your mom and dad married?
No.
Were you raised by your mother?
Yes.
Was she married?
No.
Did she have a boyfriend?
No.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, so I have 2 sisters.
Oh, so it's, oh my God, one woman raising 3 women. Is your mom an angry woman?
Yes, she is angry.
Well, raising 3 kids.
She is.
I said raising 3 children tend to do that because
it's actually
ladies understand something. Hold on, ladies understand something. I've always said that stress is made for shoulders, pressure is made for shoulders, not hips. So what do you have on the topic? Because how old is your mom?
She's 57.
So she falls in my category.
Yeah.
Do you understand that what I just kind of went over is part of the reason why things are so bad?
Yes, I do. It's just scary, like watching all the videos and just being exposed to everything that's going on, because like I'm dating and stuff, but of course it's not on the level that I want it to be one day, but just seeing all the challenges and like troubles that we're facing as Black women, it just scares me and it hits home. So that's why I like your videos.
When you say challenges you face as Black women, what do you mean?
I mean like the marriage, like not being ready to be a wife, like just how we're struggling. I feel like it's not going well for us.
Well, first off, don't worry about women, worry about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're 20 years old, and if you want to be married, men want pretty much 3 things from women: feminine, friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I heard that.
So one of the major issues is you ladies tend to take on problems of all women instead of realizing that all these women are your competition and you need to worry about yourself. Your mama chose her life.
Mm-hmm.
Your sisters get to choose theirs. But the women who struggle are the women who tend not to want to understand that men and women are different, and the kind and caliber of man you want or the lifestyle you want comes with a certain kind of man, and you need to get very curious about that kind of man and understand what he wants from a potential wife.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
exactly.
simple. It's pretty simple. We've just overcomplicated it because so many women think that they're freaking PhDs.
I'm a PhD.
And their money should matter, and it really doesn't. So
Exactly.
just don't make no babies. Don't be out here running up your body count, and don't eat a bunch of Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yes.
You know a lot of things on point. So, all right, okay. So I'll put you on mute. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you've been on my show multiple times, I'm going to ask that you guys. I can't have, I want to have people come in and have conversations, but I want to reserve it to people who've not been here before. I am so. Go ahead. Oh, wow. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Hello. Hi, how are you? All right, what do you got for me?
I did not expect to make it on the show the first time around. I just want to salute you, Kevin. I'm Team Kevin Samuels all the way. Just to piggyback off what she said, I can totally agree as far as marriages and relationships in the Black community. It's hard to find the caliber of man in this world.
Well, is it hard to find the caliber of men, or is it hard to find the caliber of woman? Black men are marrying.
I don't know about the young ones, because I've made it to the fiance stage twice. So.
Well, number one, I'm not really big on marrying same age. I think you need an age gap because men need to be at least about 30 years old before we even understand what's going on out here. The world is not where it was 100 years ago, where you just need to be a high school graduate and get a factory job.
Nah, that's what I'm not looking for. No.
Well, but 51% of men are single and childless. That's Black men. 64% are in the middle class. So the Black men are not underemployed, or the majority don't have kids all over the place. What this show is showing, that the disparity tends to be the lack of women who are ready and fit for marriage. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Right.
I listen to Uncle Kevin. I know. I agree.
Well, because what you came through and you said is, it's hard in this community. It's hard to find men who are basically ready for marriage. And I can't have you just say that without challenging it, because that's the old narrative. So, are you wanting to be married?
When I was 18, 19, yeah, but after almost jumping the broom, I don't know. I got cold feet twice, so I don't know.
Why?
I guess maybe it is the age difference, maturity levels.
Well, you've been engaged twice?
Yes.
Do you have any children?
No.
How was your
I refuse to have kids before marriage.
How was your first fiance?
I was 19, he was 25.
And the second one?
I was 24 and he was 26.
And they got on one knee and gave you a ring?
Yes.
They proposed to you, they got on one knee and proposed to you in public with a ring?
Yes.
And you said yes to both of them? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You said yes to both proposals?
At 19, yes. The last one I was very skeptical, so it was a yes in private.
Okay, the first one was a public proposal.
Correct.
And the second one was a private proposal?
Yes.
The first one, did you give the ring back?
No.
Why not?
So long story short, I was cheated on.
And?
So.
A
He
wedding
never
ring
got
is a
it.
gift. An engagement ring is a gift given in contemplation of a marriage. The
Mhm.
marriage didn't take place. The ring's not yours.
That's correct. But you asked who had the ring. I have the ring.
But that's not a. There's not a but. You should have given the ring back.
Honestly, he didn't ask for that back. He kind
Doesn't
of asked
matter,
for
man.
like electronics
See, you
back.
ladies need to understand something. Doing the right thing does not require somebody else to do the right thing. He cheated on you. That's the wrong thing, right?
Correct.
Right. And the right thing would be to break off the engagement and give him his ring back. Right?
You're right, but it just
There's no
didn't
but.
happen
No
that way.
stop. No buts. No buts. No buts. You watch me long enough to know that anything said before but is just bullshit. See, this is where you ladies run into a problem. Karma's a bitch. Just because he cheated on you and you felt some kind of way, I'm not going to say he wasn't wrong. Give him his ring back. Now you're wrong too. And you're carrying that wrong into something else with a person you said proposed to you in private. Did he give you a ring in private?
Yes.
Did you give the ring back?
No.
God damn.
I'm just being honest.
Why do you think you can keep people's rings, man? Well, first off, why are you accepting people's proposals that you're not going to marry?
The last one I did intend on genuinely married. Like, we just literally broke up back in December.
Who broke it off?
I did.
So you stole his ring.
I didn't steal his ring.
Hold on, ma'am.
Okay.
He went out and purchased the ring. True or false?
True.
He presented you with the ring. True or false?
True.
You accepted the ring. True or false?
True.
You broke off the engagement. True or false?
I ended
You broke off the
relationship.
engagement. True or false?
True.
You kept the ring. True or false?
True.
You stole his ring.
True. Guilty.
And you came in here talking about there's a problem with men. You've been proposed to twice. And you got 2 rings and wow. Where's Dad at?
Dad is at home. We don't live in the same house, but Dad's around and active.
Well, he's 25 years old. How active does he need to be?
Well, like, he's active in my life. I don't know, like, not everyone has an active dad in their life, that's all.
Well, what I'm saying is, your father condone you keeping these rings?
My dad's a player himself.
So the answer is what?
He does not care.
So, what I need everybody to understand is this is the justifications that far too many women do. Because somebody hurt them, it's a fucking attitude with everybody else. Remember, I've done 3 broadcasts on you. You've likely already met your Mr. Right and you've blown it. Young lady, I'm going to tell you something your father should have told you. Doing the right thing is something you do for yourself, not other people. You do wrong, you get wrong. When that person cheated on you, as hurt as though you may be, when you decided to end that engagement, the right thing to do would have been to give him his ring back. You didn't. So you take on that quote unquote sin. And then you want good things to come to you after that? Good luck with it. You're entitled, young lady. And using men, your father, or whoever else's issues in their life to justify or validate your jacked up stuff ain't gonna end well. Go to ask you about your father at 25. He's not involved in your life. You don't need pablum or Similac. You just need direction. He's a player. So I'm assuming you don't want to marry a man like your father.
No, he showed me, like,
because he does the wrong thing, right?
He will have 3 girlfriends at the same time.
He does the wrong thing, right?
Correct.
Right. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. You do the wrong thing as well. Say I'm wrong.
Kevin, you know I'm Team Kevin, so I
Well,
ain't
but the
gonna.
thing is, ma'am, just because you're a female and your father's a player doesn't give you the right to abuse men. So if you're Team Kevin, tomorrow you need to go send both of those rings back, wherever they are, certified mail. You'll need to ask their permission. Put one in the envelope, put another in the envelope, go to the post office, certified mail, where they got a sign for them. This is about you and your karma.
Okay.
Or not, keep them. But check out Lord of the Rings and Gollum. See how that worked out, keeping rings. Seriously, folks, we have an attitude where it's us against them. Listen to the energy that was in that. It's, well, fuck them. That's the attitude we got really towards each other. I'm going to get over on you before you get over on me. And we wonder why the first young lady was afraid of marriage. Because that one was 24 and this one was 25, 5 years difference. But one sounded young, one sounded very jaded. And young lady, at 25, you can choose to stop this and start doing what's right for you, or continue down this path. And I don't think it's going to end too well. At least she was honest, though. I'll give her that. Go ahead, Destiny. How old are you? Okay.
The lady you called in before, that you never hear about any of those stories. But like 2 weeks ago, I was talking to my brother. He's 10 years older than me.
I didn't say I never hear any of those stories. I do hear the stories, ma'am, and things do exist. Let's be clear. But
I was going, well,
but they
maybe you said you never see it in real life. You had said something.
No, ma'am. No. It's a matter of occurrence. It happens. But is it the norm? Is it the majority? Is it even more than 10%? But if you watch my show, if you listen to women when they talk about relationships, how often women say they've been abused with no evidence, no proof, no nothing. It's a get out of jail free card, or no, I don't say get out of jail free card. Let me ask you a question before you explain to me how it does happen. Let me ask you a couple of questions before you do that, okay?
Okay.
How do you think it makes the women look who really do suffer abuse when women who don't suffer it use it as a scapegoat? What do you think about those women?
I think those women, like when we're talking about statistics, false accusals are like way lower than the number of unreported like assaults and stuff. So I feel like that would be
about the women who. What I'm saying is, how do you feel about the women who falsely say stuff happen, who lie?
Oh, they make it more difficult for everybody.
Yeah, but how do you feel about them? I know they make it more difficult, but what do you feel about them?
I mean, I don't really think about them. I don't have a strong feeling about them.
Well, you should.
It's bad.
Well, you should, though, because if you have brothers, those false accusers are putting on them a man. And that's part of the issue. We let women accuse men of stuff. And men are held, a man gets accused of all kind of stuff, and he can be destroyed just by the accusation. When a woman is found even lying, she doesn't even go to jail. She don't go to jail for filing a false report. The fact that we allow women to just say anything with no consequence, to the point to where even a young lady like yourself wants to talk about the minority of stuff that happens instead of the majority of stuff where women do things falsely, and that comes down on the man and you have no feeling, is still problematic.
The majority of things is not people saying things falsely, though. That's like.
Oh yeah, hold on. If you the majority is what, unreported?
The majority is unreported. Like most reported assaults are not made up, though.
Hold on.
I feel like you're talking about the minority.
Hold on. No. See, now you're about to get into a real sticky area. I want to be clear on what we're about to say. You want to say the majority of things go unreported.
Yes, and like look it up statistically.
Okay, and then let's do the other side. What about female or male abuse.
Oh, I'm sure that goes entirely unreported. But you were talking about in the original video with the person who called in yesterday. You were talking about.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you just go back and say that these happen and go unreported. We know some things happen and go unreported. We're talking about amount of occurrences. It's over dramatic. We've got to the point where it's hyperbolic. And just because you can say, well, there are some things that go unreported, we all know that, man.
I mean, it's not some things; it's many things.
Well,
if you look at the statistics, it is the majority of like rapes and sexual assaults going unreported.
I see. No,
like you're always talking about data.
No. You're going to be checking on that one, because if you want to say the majority go unreported, how are you getting this data based upon?
They go unreported to the police, but when you
then how do you know?
It's like there are other ways of knowing. People.
Okay, well then how do you know if it's not reported to the police and that's the legal method?
So, okay.
But they reported it, but so what? Just like, see, what we have today, man, we have a cancel culture where women would go to the news media or online instead of going to court or file a police report. Why? Because that...
I mean, so the data that you get from blackdemographics.com is from the census.
Okay. This is what we're going to do with this one. I'm going to do some other people, and you and I can come back. Because if we want to do this whole data thing, I'm not going to say that things don't go unreported. I'm saying it's been over dramatized. And I can get it. They're like, well, it goes unreported. Things like that happen. Sure. But if we're going to go down this rabbit hole of if it's unreported, how about what happens to the consequences when it is reported? Bottom line is this, man. Reported or not reported, unreported, or whether it's a Census Bureau, Department of Health, bottom line is this. It is far more talked about than truly happens. And when it happens and it affects men, it's like, well, don't really want to talk about that. I'd rather talk about the things that are unreported towards women versus the things that are not reported versus the things that actually happen towards men. Not the show for that. This is a man's show. If you want to go advocate for women and talk about all the things that happen to women, there are plenty of platforms for that. Over here, you're going to talk about what happens to the men in this situation. That's what we're going to talk about here. I'm not going to turn my show into a platform for women's point of view. When there are plenty of men that don't say it, Kevin. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Go ahead.
Hey, I wanted to speak to you. Hi. I wanted to speak to you about Dr. Sherazad Ali just really quickly, because you were talking about how are things so bad currently.
Mm-hmm.
And my theory is that things are so bad currently because for so many years, I want to say so many decades, us women have been allowed to live without consequences. We've been coddled. And you talked about the color purple, and Dr. Sherazad Ali, she said there's ways that a husband, if
we don't want to go down that hole because it'll throw the whole thing off. That's what derailed her show when they talked about one of the correction methods. Doesn't work well in the West.
Well, yeah, but I wanted to tell you, you know me, I'm Muslim, and we have the same thing in our culture as well.
I know. The thing is, that's what threw her entire platform off. They focused on what was said on page 70, and they ignored the other pages. And to the point where we're still talking about, when you bring her name up, folks want to focus on that one of 8 things or 7 things she suggested.
That's true. But do you think that causing consequences or having certain punishments for certain behavior, don't you think that is kind of a good thing for us?
Yes, and I want to be very careful. We need consequences. Like I was just trying to tell the young lady who was on before, women today can do whatever they want without consequence. They can accuse a man of this or that. And whether it's true or false, there's no consequence to her either way. When an accusation like that, if unfounded, can destroy a man. Women don't even go to jail for filing false police reports. So she wants to talk about the things that are unreported, and I'm like, that's not going to work. Go to another platform for that. You will get no sympathy from me on that.
Agreed. Agreed. But one more thing, Kevin, before I go.
Go
Can
ahead.
I say something?
Go ahead.
So I wanted to say, that's the reason why I think that things are so bad regarding your question. I believe that that's the reason why. It's because there's been a lack of consequences, a lack of, what is it called? When you take responsibility for what you've
Accountability.
done. Accountability. There's such a lack of all of it, and I think this is the problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. And see, here's the thing. I want to be clear on what I'm saying, because this is what has happened far too often. More men, when they're having this conversation, women like her, like the previous caller, will come in and try to derail it and start talking about, well, let's talk about who have the numbers. Let's talk about what happens to men. I don't want to talk about what happens to women. I want to talk about what happens to men. What happens to men when these things are said about men and it can't be factually proven or true? What happens to men when these things are said and they're patently false? That's what we're going to talk about here. You want to talk about what happens to women? Go to your platform or go wherever for the last 100 years you've talked about that. Because we actually had Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, he's, before his appointment, in the Senate confirmation, is having to address stuff that happened in high school. This is a man's platform, even though I talk to women. And I am not down with feminists, womanists, and I think this whole Me Too cancel culture is a cancer on this society. And it really damages actual things that happen to women legitimately. That's right, legitimately. And if something happens legitimately, you should report it. There are all kinds of mechanisms to support women and get them to come in. The shield laws and an anonymity. There are all kinds of mechanisms to protect women in the reporting, in the aftermath. What do we do to help men? So you get no sympathy from me on that. Zero, none, zap, wrong. Who is disconnecting audio? This one, Alicia. Go ahead, Alicia. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Kevin. I'm good. First of all, my ex-husband rejected me. He does not want to remarry, so I'm available.
Well, Alicia, no, not all right.
I tried.
Hey, well, at least you tried.
I tried. The other thing is, on the subject, well, the first thing I saw was the thumbnail on the subject and the domestic violence. I'll say that I watched my mother, a baby boomer, get to California after her parents migrated from the South, came for better and more. And my mom she just went buck wild. She was a pretty woman, beautiful lady, but she had a mouth, almighty, and she stood up to men, and she was independent and a go-getter and all of that. And I watched her fight men. And as a child, I grew up in a home full of violence, full of her mouth and fights with men.
Okay. See,
my grandparents.
Hold on. One thing I want to ask you about this, though. See, that's one thing we never really talk about is between men, there's a low-level threat of violence. We know when to turn our mouths off. But I know women in my own family, too, that would knowingly instigate stuff with men to violence. Because and I'm about to say something that's going to be controversial, so let me be careful. Some people like to fight in order to make up.
Which is psychotic.
Yeah, because the makeup relations are crazy.
Right. And to me, the soft and gentle, sweet kind of makeup is much more deep and much more intimate and much more like, on a higher level of intimacy. But that's because I'm from a different generation. So she got to California, just free and liberated, unlike what, her mom and father were doing. So I guess she was, pressing or pushing the boundaries a bit, and she just felt more free, so
that was also the time where it was the 60s, it was free love. Birth control was new. They didn't have the radioactive STDs. I mean, maybe had a little gonorrhea or a little penicillin was gone. But I'm going to say something that in my neighborhood where I lived, of all there were only 2 married couples on the block, and the rest of us on the block were single mothers. The woman that lived to the left of us, I'm not going to say her name, but this was a very pretty, attractive woman. And I remember her getting into fights all the time with her man. I remember her sitting at my mom's house one day when she's sitting up there, and my mom asked her, why do y'all get into it all the time? He's like, well, I know he loved me when he fights me. And she's like, well, why do you keep pushing him to where she would keep pushing this man until he responded. And to her, that was love. But see, what people saw was the after effect of 4 hours of incessant. And where is that written in a report? How is that collated from the Census Bureau? Where is that put in the DHS and in the memos? They're not, because when a man says something, they just go, yeah, just man up. So.
Right. And so I grew up watching that, and my grandparents, on the other hand, never fought like that. They had a different way of resolving conflict. And so here I am, Generation X, having both points of views, because my grandparents did raise me. My mom had me at 15. She was wild. My grandparents weren't. I decided that I would do something different. And I was married for 16 years. And I had a successful marriage. I could have stayed in it, worked it out, but I didn't like the cheating. And I thought that I could find a happy medium for myself in between putting up with things that I didn't want to put up with, or, completely just disrespecting the ideal and the Constitution or the institution of marriage. So I'm single now, and I'm happy at 55, and I'm counseling young women through their relationships and their behavior, because I see a lot of them with those bad habits of talking, yelling, arguing, fighting with men.
Well, Alicia, would you believe that the cheating that you're referring to has flipped now, to where women are cheating as high or at a higher rate than men?
Yeah, and what I hear them telling me is that, they want to give them a taste of this medicine and make him feel the same pain. I have balls too.
Well,
it's a competition.
And I actually, on my show last night, I had a woman actually admit that she was having, I'm not going to say anybody's names, but it is not uncommon, whether you guys want to believe it or not, for women under age 40 to be the ones out here having as much or more relations than their male counterparts. Women are cheating heavily, and to the point now because there's no consequence. There used to at least be a social stigma. Now, not only are women not cheating, and not only are women cheating, women are actually leading, saying, I need a man who's A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and he needs to break it down in the bedroom. I was like, that's hella masculine. Breaking relationships with men who have everything checked, but the sexual chemistry is not there. And I'm like, God damn, where are we going as a community? I recently had a young woman call me out of the blue to ask me if I was cheating with her current boyfriend, who is my ex-boyfriend. And she and I have hit it off because she is
now pregnant with his child, and
Lord.
yeah,
Lord,
it's
amen.
crazy. I got rid of him because he was a player and all that stuff, and she called me,
Yeah,
"Are you
that's a
messing with
player.
him?" Right. And I said, "No, I'm not messing with him. I'm not messing with him." But she hit on me too. I mean, she hit on me.
I know.
And
I
she's
heard
38.
I heard you. Look,
It's
I'm about to do a whole show on this
On
next
that.
level of freakiness, but appreciate you.
Okay. All right,
'Cause,
Kevin. Great talking with you.
like, I'm gonna be honest, man. Tiffany, you're next. Look, that's why I didn't get the young feminists who wanted to talk. I know too much. I've seen too much. Ladies, you cannot have it all. And saying that it is far more common today for the women to be out there doing their thing than men. But you hear all the time about the things that men do. Women today lack accountability and consequence to the point to where is this getting you? You can have your man, affairs, girlfriends, and no one is holding you accountable to your actions or your consequence. Where is this going to end? The Bible talks about Sodom and Gomorrah, whether you believe in the Bible or not. Where's the natural end of all this excess? And can't nobody tell you nothing. Tiff, you're next. Tiffany's like, shit, I'm ready to go. Oh, Tiffany, your microphone's not connected. Her microphone's not connected. All right, Alicia. Tiffany in the Zoom call, who's looking up. She's listening on TV or something. I don't know. Hello, Tiffany. Look at the screen. Oh, baby. She's not paying attention. Pay attention. Hello, you. Let me turn on my video. Hold on. Jesus H. Christ. Now she turned. There you go. Turn on your audio. Yeah, y'all gotta connect your audio, man. People are like, dang, man, do they not know? So, while she's doing that, you still here? I thought you were gonna go mail that ring back.
No, I'm still here, Kevin.
Oh, okay. You go ahead and mail that ring back. I'm not gonna put you on camera though.
I gotta go dig them out the jewelry box. I gotta go find them.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm not gonna even let that play. She said I gotta go dig them out. Oh my God, gangster. All right, okay. So let's do this. We're gonna Tyra Tirzah. You're next because Tiffany's trying to connect. Hello. How are you? Good. How old are you? What do you got for me?
On both sides of it, and
Okay.
I believe we are where we are as women. One, not having both parents in the household, and even if they weren't, even if they were, some parents may have not been well themselves or had rocky beginnings with their families. But also the company you keep, the things you watch, the things you listen to, eventually play a role on you. And we're always in some
You've been on both sides of You've been on both sides of abuse.
No. Being in where we are, like as in being single and being married.
Okay, because you said you've been on both
playing
sides. We're talking about the abuse thing, and I'm confused. So you've been on both sides.
I'm sorry. I thought maybe
Okay.
where I came in, I thought it was when the woman was speaking of being too analytical, and then
Okay. No problem. Hold on just a second though.
TV or something.
Tip, you gotta turn the TV off. That's why you couldn't hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn off the TV.
I did.
You was all okay. How old are you?
I am about to be 39 next week.
Oh, what you got for me?
I've been watching you since the whole video, the viral video that went out. And what I have to say about Black women is a lot of us did not come from two-parent homes. I did. Most of the women in my family were married for years. My parents married for 45 years. A lot of us have not moved outside of the states or cities that we were born in. I have. My dad was military. I was married into the military. And so I've moved around, been to different countries, seen different things. And when you talk to most of your Black women friends and you're telling them the different cultural differences and how they live, you take on some of the things they did, they don't want to hear it.
What do you mean?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, say for instance, when I was married, I just got divorced a year ago. I was married for 10 years, have 3 children. Okay. And in the town that I lived in the suburbs of Atlanta, I went to a birthday party. The woman across the street, her mother-in-law was there. She was a white woman and she was married to an Indian man. She told me, you see him? Now she was taken care of. She never worked. She was a nurse. I'm a nurse. She never worked as a nurse. And she told me, you see my ex-husband? He was married to a now white woman. Her kids are there, whatever. And she told me, I married him because he saw me when I was in nursing school. And I didn't like him, but I saw what I would be like basically prepared for. So she's been taken care of. She married him. She said most women will grow to love men.
Yeah, that's right.
She said I saw what he could provide for her. And basically, she's living a great life, even though she was married to him and divorced. And most of us Black women, as I saw in nursing school, a lot of us were baby mamas. I wasn't at the time. None of them had ever been married. And the white women, they were 22, 23 and had been married 2 or 3 times. And their next husband was better than the husband that they had before.
Okay.
And listening to your show now, listening to Black men, and you're saying that most single moms, you're pretty much done once you become a single mom. That's neither here, huh?
You're pretty much done when you're single. Well, depending upon the kind of man you want, but
right.
Higher up the food
I do believe that you have to lower your standards with certain things, like there.
But you were married though, right?
Yes, for 10 years.
Were you married before you had a child or after?
Oh yes, all 3 of my children are by the same man.
Okay, well, did you have your children? Okay, so that puts you more in the category of a single mother, not a baby mama. That's a different thing.
Okay.
A baby mama is a woman who had children without the benefit of being married, and men look at that differently. They simply do. Women get mad when guys say that, but you can't tell them. Go ahead.
I agree with you, and I agree with you on that because now, prior to me getting married, I met a lot of men with children that had already been divorced, and I wasn't looking for that. Now that I'm divorced with kids, I'm meeting so many single men that are in their 50s and 60s that never had kids, and I kind of don't want that. I kind of want you to be
men who don't have kids because they don't have your experience.
Yeah.
They don't have your
experience. But they're like, okay, I'll take it on. I don't want any kids because I don't want any more.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you watch this thing from the beginning when I was talking about
I had to drop my kids off. I had to work in the morning, so I had to drop my kids off. I wanted to, but no.
The color purpling. The way this all got started was the discussion about why Generation X women are not having the same sort of results as their baby boomer and silent generation mothers and grandmothers. I was talking to a 40-year-old woman who stated her parents are married 45 years, and I said, well, why do you think our generation failed in marriage? And she said, because we quit, we leave, and eventually she said, because the women leave. And I was like, well, why? And she ultimately said, because we don't have to put up with the stuff that our mothers and grandmothers put up with. And when I asked her what, she's like, the abuse. And I'm saying that I did not witness my mother, my grandmother, or previous generations being massively abused. And that's what started it off. We started talking about the color purple, how that's impacted our culture, these waiting to exhale movies, and all these things that make our relationships look one way, but then you objectively look around your neighborhoods and they either relationships don't exist or they don't exist, where women are all looking like Miss Seeley and Oprah with the eye hanging out their head. That's not it.
No.
And
go ahead. That goes back to a lot of women didn't see marriage from beginning to end, and not saying beginning to end with divorce, beginning to end with death. I have witnessed that, and people see my parents and see 45 years they lived in this big house in Atlanta, like we got that, but the endurance that it takes. I wanted to endure with my husband. I tried to. A lot of women don't want to do that. And
why do you think that is, though? That's why what her and I got crossways on, because I asked her, why are women not enduring when your grandmother and your mother and your grandmothers did? And this is primarily for people 38 and up. Why are people not enduring?
Because they're glamorizing marriage before they even get married. I didn't, because I saw what it took to have a long-standing relationship. I'm seeing it now. I wanted to have a long-standing relationship, but there are rules to, let's just put this, cheating with men. Men have been notoriously white, black, whatever, known for kind of stepping out, whatever. But there are rules. When you break the rule, you bring them into the house, you do things that publicly embarrass me, then that's a deal breaker for me. There are rules to this thing. We know certain things as women. I would have been willing, not saying that I wanted him to cheat, no, but I had 3 kids by this man. We were living together. I'm working as a nurse.
Did you file?
Huh?
Did you file or did he file?
There were times when
I'm saying who filed for divorce?
I filed for a divorce because of the public embarrassment.
And I can, hold on, let me say, were his parents married?
Yes, my parents and his parents were married for the same amount of years, and yes.
So let me explain something to the audience. I've said this countless times, and I'm going to continue to say it. While I'm not a cheater, never have, and if any of you ever get a chance to talk to anybody I've been involved with, they'll tell you several things about me. One, that I don't cheat. It's just not what I do. Not that I can't, it's just because I don't want to. But there are rules to it. And you guys got to understand, high value or whatever, you cheat, you got to understand you cannot embarrass your woman. No outside kids, no divorces, no embarrassments. Those are the rules.
Yes.
No outside kids, no divorces, no embarrassments. And there's also a 4th rule, you can't be putting financial strain on your primary family.
Absolutely.
So, and that comes from outside kids. Outside kids put financial strain on your primary family and cause embarrassment. I firmly believe, and I have seen, that many women are willing to deal with the man on many different levels, as long as you ain't embarrassing her around town and making her look like a mother fripping fool. And this is why this whole color purple and all this other kind of stuff, because the men were embarrassing these women. I'm not going to be foolish enough to think that, I think everybody after Big Mama and Big Daddy died, you start to hear stuff about their marriage.
Right.
But they didn't make it look perfect either, but they at least gave us the facade that this is grown folk business, stay out of it.
Exactly.
We involving our kids in it and talking about it and too much stuff. They had a French toast code and we don't. And we keep putting ourselves back. We're just a weaker generation, weaker people. We're weaker people. And I will say this, most of the men I know who are divorcees did not want to end their marriages. Sadly, that 80% divorce rate, many men wanted to stay and work through their marriages, but that's why I agree with what the caller and I got into it about the choice, the illusion of choice that so many Generation X women thought they had. But now we're starting to see that they didn't have it because look at them, look at all of us. 40 plus years old, you ain't supposed to see this many single black folks. So, well, appreciate you calling in. Make sure next time you get your microphone on so you're not looking on the TV. Thanks, Tiff. See, it's not that I disagree that I think women should deal with abuse. That ain't it. It's the fact that I see abuse happening far more verbal and emotional. I have physically, personally seen that happen more from female to male. I've seen women agitate, purposely irritate, instigate with their lovers and family members, and then when they get a response, it's, oh my God. Well, stop messing with people. I have never really seen, although it does happen, the kind of abuse that so many women talk about in facts, figures, data, statistics, this, that, such and so forth. Do you see that in your neighborhoods? And what we are down to now is, well, it really does happen. It just goes unreported. No. No. You have that point, you can have that talking point all you want to, but if it goes unreported, then what do you want us to do about it? You want us to put it into the discussion, say it's unreported, give them another concession saying it shouldn't be reported? Report it. If you want to, how about this, ladies? If you want to talk about it, it needs to be reported. If you want to discuss it, it needs to be reported. If it needs to be considered, it needs to be reported. If it can't be any of those things, then we don't need to talk. Then it doesn't need to be talked about. Because the only person hurt in your examples are men. I'm not going to continue to let you hurt men's image to make a point that fits your narrative. All right. Okay. I think you were on the other day. Hello? You're going to have to turn off YouTube. Okay, what do you got for me?
Our upbringing does shape our look on marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to say something on your question on why Black women don't stick around is because I think our angry aunties, our angry mothers always were like, oh, you don't gotta do that. You don't gotta stay with him. You got your degree. Leave him. Leave that. You don't gotta put up with nothing. You gotta work for nothing. That's what I've heard in my circle.
Are you at work? Are you at work?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's noise in the background. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so it can't work. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Was the noise in our ears is not nothing positive. It's not from the hurt women. They're not telling us, the generation we work to do. They're telling us just go out there, do what you want. Do what you want. Forget history.
Okay, I'm gonna expand on that. And she makes a good point, because you ladies got to realize when you tell these young ladies are hearing you before they hear us. And what did Generation X get told? Get out there, get a job, take care of yourself. You don't need no man. Don't worry about no man. Silent generation and baby boomers basically set their kids on a collision path, and then wonder why it's all messed up, and wondering why Generation X women, men aren't your enemy. You ladies of 38 plus really need to sit down and ask yourself, the men in your life, who's really done what? You guys need to get specific about who offended you. Stop speaking as men in abstract. An extension. If your first love did it, then hold him accountable, but not the all of men, not all of men. And telling women that you need to worry about yourself and do what you want and there's no consequences, footloose and fancy free, that is a good recipe to die alone, because where is a life of trauma, lack of accountability and consequence Then where you think you're going to turn around at 40 years old and decide to slow down and get a man? What happened to that woman who I talked to when I put the spoiled brat thing up today? She said, what? All my sorors out here who are 40 in their 50s, they've given up. They've given up. What other group of people, other group of women are suffering like a lot of you sisters? All this talk and propaganda and this and that, but it's you individually who are suffering alone. And when I've talked to too many women who ultimately say, I am tired of carrying all this load. Yeah, I could be a professional, and I got my PhD.
I'm a PhD.
I got my BMW, I got this, I got that, I can do it all. But I'm tired of this. At what point are you going to admit maybe this is better with somebody? At what point are you going to admit maybe, just maybe, the narratives I've been holding on to, I don't really see them in my daily life. And I really never seen them growing up. I believe they exist because I've heard other women tell me they existed, but I haven't seen it myself. But because I believe this, believe all women, and because I believe this, that these things go unreported, because I believe that we got to side with women in all cases, because men are our enemy. That's the only way this thing works, is when you set men up as your enemy. Well, over here, the gender war is over. I said it last year, and I showed this to show you why it got so bad, but that's not it over here. So if you want to still fight the gender war, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. In the comment section, in the chat room, I'm not having any more of that shit. Not having it. I don't care what your standpoint is. If you want to be on gender war stuff and you want to be acting foolish and going back and forth with each other, I'm not even making announcements. I'm just removing you from the channel. Because there are other places to go. But this is a man's channel. It's for men. And men, my clients, my colleagues, my friends, the men I know, they want relationships with women. They just want them to be healthy, functioning, decent relationships. And I'm sorry, and there are more and more women saying, you know what? I want that too. Well, then those men and those women should be allowed to find each other, link up, and make a go of it. If that ain't where you're at, if you're a man or you're a woman and that ain't what you're thinking, if you're on I don't need, fine. You make your decision. Let them people who want to get together and go forward, go on and do what they do. Shout out to Stronger Inside Podcast. Train modern women. I love to be a part of the Capture the Prize. Send me an email, Stronger Inside. Okay, I'll put a link up. Look, I really was trying to be careful about how I approach this subject, because I do not want to minimize the subject. I don't. But we have to find out ways to have difficult conversations about sensitive topics that advocate for men as well. Ladies, the advocacy for a man's standpoint is why you seem to can't find men who are wanting to couple, marry, move forward. Why? What do you expect to have as a nation, as a world, if you have men who are not strong, masculine, builder, alpha types? Like Dr. Jordan Peterson said to Kathy Newman, it's a woman's responsibility to make a man better. He said, well, it depends. What kind of men do you want? Do you want men or do you want full-grown children? If you want a man that has to be contended with, then you're going to have to let him be a man, not sit down and pee like a woman. Men and women are different. Enjoy our differences. We're not supposed to be genteel versions of ourselves. And you're not supposed to be masculine versions of yourself. All right, tomorrow night. Oh, we got a couple of more people. I forgot. I'm sorry. We got some more calls to take. We got to start a little late. If you have a disagreement in the Zoom call, raise your hand. Or if you want to get on, okay. Well, go ahead. You're gonna need to be still, Jada. And go ahead. Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How old are you?
I am 26.
What do you got for me?
So I work for a child protective services agency.
Okay.
And we see domestic violence a lot.
Okay.
About 50% of the reports we get have some type of domestic violence involved. And I just wanted to add some kind of context.
Well, I'm gonna ask a question. Have you witnessed what I asked about talking about it from a man's standpoint?
As far as have I witnessed domestic violence? Yes.
No, yeah, I'm talking about we often hear about violence and things like that from a woman's standpoint or advocating for a woman's point of view.
Well, yes, I have seen men as victims of domestic violence as well in this line of work.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Well, I kind of wanted to point out
that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about.
So with men that are victims, I mean, of course, it goes unreported. The reason that I am able to see that in my line of work is because I am an investigator, and it involves speaking with men on several topics, and it comes out often, and women don't see it as a problem. Mm-hmm. But we do, because the children, of course, observe this and it impacts their child functioning.
Let me ask you a question. In the case, likely or unlikely as it may be, if something is reported by a woman onto a man and it's found out to be unsubstantiated or false, what tends to happen to the reporting female?
From our agency, nothing. Again, we can advise men if they want to take other routes to pursue that, but we are only really focused on the children, so I can't really speak on that.
I get it. And the reason I said that is because often we hear, the children's point or even the women's point, but rarely is any light cast or even we talk about things that happen from the men's side, regardless as to percentages. So thank you for at least being honest about it. Appreciate it. Good. Yeah, guys. Look, this is already a sensitive enough subject, and I'm going to stay in a very narrow scope because there are platforms that are much better equipped to have this conversation, and I'm going to give it its level of gravitas and seriousness. I don't try to be everything for all people, but I think it's a subject that we need to actually look at more, and we need to be honest about this. And say that if men and women are to be treated as equals before the law, that's what you want, ladies. You want equality before the law, then I'm all for it. You need to be treated as equals before the law, meaning sentence disparities. If a male or a man commits an infraction or a felony or a crime, and a woman does the same, they need to be given similar consequences, similar sentencing. We need to start going and saying, well, what's the best interest of the child? Not automatically give preference to the biological mother because of some natural imperative. I mean, if you want equality, then equality is what you should get. That means you also want to take on your equal portions of dirty jobs, sewer, trash, infrastructure, frontline military action. Uh-oh, this is when the beatboxing starts. Me, I'm much more of a traditional guy. I'm good with gender roles. I'm good with women being able to be more emotional. Personally, I've never really had to deal. I don't really tolerate violent women in my life. I've had somebody like that, and it was a shock to my system. I would never allow it again. You got one time to get verbally violent with me, and that's your last time. I'm not going to argue with you. Because if you get verbally violent, you'll keep pushing that line, and I'm not wearing no panties for no chick. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, again, guys, I'm going to stress this. This comment section on this topic is going to be heavily moderated. Please don't lose your comment privileges trying to make bad jokes or be provocative, please. Because the topic in and of itself is touchy. I'm going to ask you to err on the side of discretion. If you're not 100% sure how it's going to be received, save the potential joke for another video, okay? I may even turn comments off on this because we don't want to see any good work or any common ground possibly gained in this discussion be neutralized by things in the comment section. You know what? I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to turn off the comment. I think I'm going to turn off the chat on this stream. I mean the live chat replay and the comment section. And I just wanted to make that announcement to where you guys understand why I'm doing it, because it's atypical for what I do. I tend to let everybody rock out and do what they do, but some topics need to be handled in a different way. I've given my opinion on it. That's enough. We don't need to really discuss it anymore. Thank you to all the callers. I thank the woman who called in yesterday. I think it was a discussion that needed to be had. People needed to see it real time, and now we get to choose what we want to do and how we want to go forward. As far as how I'm going forward, we are pushing this thing forward the way we have always been. Confident, intelligent, assertive men, feminine, beautiful, inspirational women, high earners, not rich yet, high earners and Henry's in training, the hit squad, fit, feminine, friendly. You know how we do over here, man. 2021 is going to be an incredible year for the men over here, for the ladies over here. We're going to have a good time because it's all about you. Until the next time, peace. We are gone. I'm a PhD. I'm a PhD. Test out the camera.